and welcome to another episode on Real Talk with Tracy. With me is another really phenomenal guest, and of course, I'm going to share in brief about him before mentioning his name. So he is the co-founder and executive director, Center for Youth Participation, Dialogue and Advocacy Africa, also known as CYPA Africa. Also, he is an election policy expert, anti-corruption crusader, development consultant, philanthropist, human rights activist, and more. He is no other than Ambassador Chris Iyama. You are highly welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, Tracy. Nice to see you again.
Oh my God, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so our focus on this episode is around youth participation in politics and advocacy. So, sir, considering your different competencies in the areas of anti-corruption, election, policy, human rights, and the likes, what's your perspective in brief about youth participation in politics and advocacy, especially in Nigeria?
Well, again, thank you for having me on a wonderful program. It's always a pleasure to have you interact. Thank you so much. You see, I do say that you cannot shape a man's head in his absence. You can only shape a man's head for when that man is seated down before you, or in front of you, how you may put it, So, democratic engagement for young people is something that is a right and not a privilege. But you see, in Nigeria, in Africa, we see democratic participation as a privilege and not a right. And so, we must, as young people, come out of that share to be able to engage in that process that leads to democratic development in Africa, especially Nigeria.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, you seem really passionate, around issues that surrounds governance, democracy, and the likes. Maybe you could share in brief how it all started.
CYPA Africa, personally, it's about volunteerism. I started by being a volunteer with the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA. And I remember while in secondary school, I was the president of Education as Vaccine Against AIDS, and later on appointed as the president of Abuja Secondary Schools Against HIV and AIDS as at that time. And it was under the leadership of who was the minister then, Professor Babatunde Oshotunmi, as he then was the Minister of Health then. And so when I was done with secondary school, waiting for admission, I had to just go to National Action Committee of AIDS, National Agency for the Control of AIDS office to go and volunteer my time. And I volunteered. I was going to different places to spread the news against HIV and AIDS, abstinence, all those things. As a young person, how was I then? Maybe 16. So that's where it started.
Oh my God! Thank you for such review. Okay, what quality of mindset would you advise more young people in Nigeria to imbibe as we gradually approach the 2023 general election?
It's just simple for short. It's about young people, take back your country. Young people, ahead of the 2023 general election, this is our time, this is our chance. We cannot sit back and expect some set of persons to be ruling. We have, if you have not collected your PVC, go and collect your PVC. Because 2023 general election, it is a make or my election. And if we decide as young people to mar the election, it means we are not going to be part of the election. So stop. Don't say on the election day you want to play football. It's a time for you to go and travel to another place and all that. No, it's a time for you to go and vote with your PVC. Because if you don't get PVC, you're sitting on a long thing, and then the country will not be as good as you want it. Let's stop wishing for a good country. We are part of the people that is going to make our country great. 2023 election, be part of the process.
Wow. Well, you've heard it all from him. Okay. Considering the fact that CYPA Africa actually started off in a very small room years ago in the University of Jos. If you can just share briefly what CYPA Africa does.
CYPA Africa is about democratic governance. It's about rule of law. It's about policy advocacy, is about development, political engagement, development of political engagement. It's about policy drive for young people. It's about engaging young people in the process. It's about making young people to believe in themselves. It's about telling young people that you have the ability that God has given to you to change the system instead of complaining. It's about this is our time. It's about our chance. That's what CYPA Africa stands for.
Wow. Okay. Is CYPA Africa also open to partnerships, sponsorships, and generally people who want to get involved in some way?
The truth of the matter is, every day we get people signing up for our partnership.
Wow.
For sponsorship, because we are doing a whole lot of things. We are doing a whole lot from policy development to campaigns on good governance to PVC to human rights there are several things we do in terms of even setting people free from the prison, and all that, those kind of engagement like that. People that have been accused wrongly and they are locked up in prison. We are into such kind of advocacy, and so partnership sustains all these things. So we are open to partnership, we are open to sponsorship, we are open to even collaborations. Right now we are still open, until tomorrow we'll still be open, and then young people equally come here to volunteer their time. So feel free, as a young person, feel free to come to our office. We are open. You are not paying us to volunteer here. You are not everything. We have free Wi-Fi to do what you need to do and to support the system.
Oh my God, this is really, really awesome. And if you've watched to this point, I'm sure that you must have heard from him in areas in which you can begin to participate, especially if you have been, just all by yourself and you've not begun taking any steps towards participating in areas that pertains to politics or advocating, in this nation, in the nation Nigeria. Okay, thank you so much for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, the details, I'm sure you must have realized that the details on how to contact CYPA Africa is currently on the screen. So do your best, reach out, and just like he mentioned, you too can get involved in the way that you can get involved. But first, it begins from reaching out. So we have finally come to the end of this episode, and for us, it is a bye.